little bit about yourself and what you do, or some of your interests?
Okay, my name's Imari Franklin. I'm 17 years old. I'm a senior in high school. Let's see. I work at my local newspaper. I work at the Boys and Girls Club. I'm part of several clubs, and some of my interests, I like to read, and I guess volunteer with all the clubs that I'm in.
Okay.
Takes up most of my time.
All right, that's a lot. That's interesting.
Yeah, thank you. It keeps me really, really busy, but I like to stay busy, and yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned you work for your local newspaper, Boys and Girls Club, and you're part of several different clubs, plus school on top of that. So how do you make time for everything?
How do I make time for everything? Okay, I take a 4-class schedule, and in that 4-class schedule, I get a work-based learning block. So I get to work at the Boys and Girls Club and earn a credit. Most of my clubs meet different weeks of the month, so it's easy to balance out time with each of those. And then my work at the newspaper, that takes up most of my morning, and all of my classes are online. So it's really just work as you please.
Okay. So can you explain what kind of clubs you're part of?
Clubs. Okay. I'm part of HOSA, which is the Future Health Professionals Club, FBLA, Future Business Leaders of America, Beta Club, this thing called Student Chamber that we have in my county. Let's see, I'm trying to think. I volunteer with the Fairhaven Teen Board, which helps women part of a domestic violence shelter. And I'm trying to rack through them. Oh, and mock trial. I do mock trial.
Okay, so now do you ever feel like that's overwhelming? Like it's so much on your plate?
I most definitely do feel like it's overwhelming at some points, but I've learned to persevere and push through, and to make sure that I schedule myself some free time so that it's always just work and study.
Okay, so would you say it's fair to say that you manage time, that you master time management?
I wouldn't say that I've mastered it, but I most definitely have found a balance for myself.
Okay. So now, how would you describe a leader? Like, what some characteristics a leader has?
Characteristics a leader has is like communication is a really big part. You have to communicate with the people that you're leading. I think service leadership is also a good characteristic of a leader, because you can't just expect people to follow what you say. You also have to lead by example. And determination. Set some goals. You can't just blindly lead some people into the forest without a goal of how to get out the forest or what you're getting in the forest. So you have to communicate your goals. You have to communicate what you want. You have to set those goals, and you have to also participate in the road to achieve those goals.
Yeah, that's lit. That's fire. So now, what are some leaders you look up to? Like, who motivates you?
Some leaders my parents must definitely motivate me. They communicate very well. They set their goals and they achieve them. They're hard workers. Let's see. This is always a hard question for me. I actually answered this for a college application. And I had a really hard time, and I ended up putting my parents, because, we look up to celebrities, but there's not just one that I could name off the top of my head.
Yeah. All right, but that's a great answer. Your parents, they're hard workers. So that's a great answer. So now, do you believe leadership is something that can be learned, or in a way it's just like, in a way inherited from your parents? Like your parents were leaders, so you're leaders, or do you think it's learned?
I most definitely think that leadership can be learned, because some people who have parents who are great leaders, they're not always the greatest leader, because each leader does have something to learn. And I know for a fact that I've grown as a leader. Normally you couldn't get me to talk to other people. It's just I wanted to talk to who I knew, but now I talk to everybody I come in contact with, or at least I try to.
Okay. So you're like an outgoing person?
I'm kind of in the middle.
Okay.
I have my days or my social situations. It's about what you're comfortable with and what you're comfortable talking about, because you run into different situations and it catches you off guard and you're no longer as outgoing as you intended to be.
Yeah, that is for real. Okay, so now what are about like 3 skills you find common in every leader? It doesn't have to be 3 skills, but that can be like the max.
3 skills I find common in every leader.
Or characteristics.
Okay. Decisiveness. Mm-hmm. You have to be able to make decisions clearly.
Yeah.
Integrity, most definitely, because if people see you as a pushover, it's no going any further than that. And problem solving, you have to be able to solve problems. You can't always point out the problem and not have a solution. That is what I go by. If I'm going to point out that there's a problem, I'm going to come up with a solution. I'm not just going to, point it out and sit there and let it happen.
Yeah. So those are great characteristics or skills that every leader has in common. So now my next question is, how do you deal with adversity, like difficulties in a situation or anything?
Adversities. Normally, I try to take it and assess the situation before I act. And sometimes you might just need to take a step back, take a breather, a couple days to think about what you're facing and then move forward. I know that in the past, there's been some difficulties, or I faced some adversities with getting other people to help me with big projects. So I have to step back and I have to regroup and look at my resources and see other people that I can call on, because as a leader, it's not only about being a servant leader and serving amongst the people, but it's about delegating out and not feeling like you have to take on everything.
Yeah. Okay. So now, how would you continue to did I already ask you that? How would you continue to grow and develop as a leader?
You did not ask me that, but how would I continue to grow and develop? How I grow and develop now is I take a lot of notes and I notate what other people do. And sometimes it's pinpointing exactly what I need to, implement into my life, or things that I need to stop doing, or things that I need to avoid doing and running into. So let's see, there's people in my community that I look up to, and I notice how they're great public speakers. So I went and took a public speaking class so I could be a better leader. Or if one of my community leaders, they've taken on way too much on their plate, and I see that they're kind of struggling, or, they're running around like a chicken with their head cut off. I don't want to end up like that. So I learned to minimize the amount of things I lend myself to.
Okay.
So that's how I'm growing and developing as a leader.
Okay. So you're learning from other people's mistakes so you won't repeat them.
Not just their mistakes, but I'm also learning from their successes. And the generation in front of you is supposed to be teaching you to be better than them. And we're supposed to be teaching the generation after us to be better than us. So it's a mountain and valley type of thing.
Okay. So
they cross the valley.
No, what were you saying? I'm sorry.
They crossed the valley so we could climb the mountain, and we're going to get to another valley for the next group of people to cross.
Yeah, that's what's up. You coming up with these metaphors. They're good.
Thank you. My class at the Boys and Girls Club always asks me, they're like, Miss Imari, how do you say smart stuff like that all the time?
Yeah. So now I look up to you as a leader. You're doing some things that I like and I can relate to in a way. So now, would you consider yourself a leader, or would you consider yourself like a follower of other leaders?
I think in a sense I'm both, but I think that everybody's a leader and nobody's a follower, because, in some instances there's a person above you and we consider them as a leader, and we're supposed to follow, what they're telling us. But when I'm put in that position to be over a group of people, I treat everybody as my equal and as a leader, so that I'm serving alongside of them and not above them. Yeah. And they're not serving below me. So I do think, in a sense, I am a follower to some leaders, but everybody's a leader.
Okay. So now, what advice would you give other teenagers in the position that you're in, or just in general? What advice would you give them?
What advice would I give other teenagers? Yeah. Like about leadership, or just in general?
About like anything, like life in general, or leadership, or starting a business, or whatever.
Some key things that I've done is I keep an agenda of everything I have to do in the week. That includes classes, homework, assignments, what I have to do at work, and blog-related things, club-related things. Keep an agenda always. Follow what you want to do. If you see that there's something that needs to be done, or you have a goal, write out the steps to accomplish it and get it done. I give myself 3 weeks to do something that I really want to do. And if I haven't planned it out in those 3 weeks, I kind of set it to the side because it's just not meant for me to accomplish right then. And I think that's really it.
So now, if you have something that you need to get done, like for instance, creating a blog by Tuesday, and you don't get to it, do you like discipline yourself, like no TV, or like what do you have that discipline for yourself?
Normally, if I said that I'm gonna write a blog by Tuesday, I go ahead and get it done. But as far as disciplining myself, no, I just push the deadline back just a little bit so that I make sure I get it done, or I'll make myself write 2 blogs.
Yeah.
But I think I'm pretty good at setting my deadlines and actually getting to them. I'm better than I used to be because I would have so many things going on. You couldn't really, you have too many things going on. You can't pinpoint exactly what needs to get done. Yeah.
So now I'm a procrastinator. I'm not very, I have a horrible procrastinating, what would you call it? Skill. It's kind of bad. So now what would you say to like improve procrastination?
Well, for me to be as planned out as I am a horrible procrastinator also. But I think I just try to keep my list of things I need to do. That way, if I was to procrastinate like to the last minute, I won't forget anything.
Yeah.
I don't really know how to fix procrastination because I'm going through it myself. And I think a lot of procrastination now comes from like academic burnout. You get tired of doing schoolwork, especially during Corona. Yeah. You get tired of logging into online classes. It's the same old thing every day. So you want to procrastinate because there's no differentiation in what you're doing. There's going to be no change. So you kind of getting burned out, but I try to keep myself from getting that way, try to mix it up. When it comes to schoolwork, I try not to do my work at home. I try to go to a cafe and do it outside of, my distractions.
Yeah. So
that's how I fix procrastination for myself.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's a great idea, get rid of distractions. But I also feel like one of the ways is self-discipline. You have to discipline yourself to do certain things. But also, it takes discipline to actually implement self-discipline. So I feel like that's where the hard part comes in at.
It most definitely is hard to sit down and tell yourself, hey, you got to do it. But I do it all the time. And then once you think about the consequences, senior year it might not hurt you in the middle of the semester, but it's going to catch up with you at the end of the semester.
Yeah.
So I just try to think in the long run.
All right. Well, thank you. That's all the questions I have for you today. Do you have any questions for me?
I don't think I have any questions for you.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I'll be talking to you soon.
All right. Thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you. All right. Thank you.